Here we go. We're in, we're up, we're running, everything's green, which means we're all synced up. So let's go ahead and I'm just going to close some of all these files down. 1 for housekeeping, 2 to manage resources and try to stave off TIA Portal's memory leaks, and 3 just to build a little anticipation while I make you wait. Okay, let's go online with our watch table and let's see where we're at. We're transitioning everything. We've got an e-stop alarm because our e-stop is not energized. Okay, we're good with that. So let's toggle our e-stop. So now it's closed, and that means we should be able to wipe out that alarm. Consequently, we're in idle mode, which is a very good thing. And I don't even know what program paradigm we're running right now, but it doesn't matter because I think we've got all of those working. So let's go ahead and toggle our alarm reset. And as soon as we did, let's toggle that back. Okay. And let's see where we're at here. We're still in idle mode, still in fault mode, and we've still got our transitions energized. And when we're actually, why are we in fault mode? We've got a high oil temp alarm. Okay, that's good. Let's get in there, and we, I guess, need to set our alarm values because I'm sure those got reset at some point. Well, the first thing we do is, man, I love it. I click on one thing, and before I can get out the second click, it jumps on me. Let's go into main, and let's see what program language we're actually running. So it looks like we're running our, here we go, we're running ladders. Okay, good to know. So we can close out of there. We're running ladders, so let's go into, I love it, man, I love it. You can't double click on anything in here. TIA Portal is just problematic to use, I've got to just say it. Okay, let's go into our alarms ladder. Let's put everything online. And let's go down and set some set points so that we won't be having alarms. Our low oil flow is set to 0. So we shouldn't be getting that if we're getting any kind of oil flow. And you know what? At this point, I just remembered we've got our SIM logic. Is that? Oh, it's actually enabled. Okay, so that's good. I was about to say we need to enable that, but I've already got it enabled, so yay. That's one thing we don't have to worry about. So, okay, oil flow set points look good. Let's look at our overcurrent alarm. For an overcurrent, let's go ahead and set that at, like, I think it's supposed to be 550. And while I'm at it, I also need to set my delay timers and make sure that those are something that's reasonable. So our oil low flow delay, I think I'll go ahead and make that 10 seconds. For our overcurrent delay, I'll go ahead and make that 5 seconds. And for our high oil temp, the temperature set point, maybe we'll say something like 200 degrees, and we'll give it a 5-second delay. For overcurrent, I think we've already got that set. Oh, this is over speed, and you know what? We're looking at the wrong set point here, so that should be over speed delay set point. And I'll just go ahead and punch that in. Okay, so our over speed delay, and that'll be 5 seconds. And a speed, I don't know, let's call it maybe 200 RPMs. And let's make sure, I'm just going to look up here and make sure that we didn't lose anything else whenever, yeah, okay, we didn't, whenever I loaded this thing up. So we've got our over speed looking good. We've got high oil flow, so we'll put that up to something like, I don't know, I want to make sure that we just don't get any alarms, so let's put that up to like 40 gallons for 5 seconds. and our brake failure, that's probably our most important set point for time. So let's go ahead and say it's got 30 seconds to come to a complete stop. Okay, and yeah, I think we've got it from there. So let's go back to our watch table and let's see if we can reset our alarms. So send that in, take our finger off the button, and e-stop is true. We're in idle mode and all of our transitions are disabled. That's a good thing. So let's see if we can hit the system start push button. And I think, what are our HOAs set at? Our HOAs are set to 0. So when we hit that start push button, hopefully nothing will happen. So let's send that in. And look at that, we jumped to generation mode. So what's going on with our full auto bit? Our full auto bit is false. So why did we jump? Let's go into modes ladder and let's examine that logic. So for start push button, you know what? We never put that full auto condition in anywhere, did we? So we need one more condition, and that's our full auto bit. And we're going to need to do that on these other guys as well. So let's go into modes FBD, and we want one more condition here, the full auto bit. Let's go into SCL, and if system start push button and idle mode and full auto bit, and then we want to do our STL, and where are we evaluating that? Jump to warm-up mode, jump to start mode, and actually I think we were looking at that in idle, weren't we? So there we are, we're clear. We're looking for the system start button. We're looking for just the front positive on that. So let's also say and idle mode, because we forgot to put that condition in here, and full auto bit. Okay, so now if we've got the system start push button and we're in idle mode and we've got the full auto bit on front positive, then we want to set the start sequence bit. Okay, so I think that sounds a little bit better. Let's download this, load it, and housekeeping. Let's close some of all of this junk that we just went and opened. Get back to our watch table. Now we're in generation mode, and I'm going to give us an e-stop alarm just so we can back out. So there's the alarm. We're in idle mode, and all of our transitions are enabled. That's what we would expect. And now let's reset that alarm. So reset to true, reset to false, and now we're just in idle mode with no faults. And I hate to say it, but when we're in, we don't actually have any logic to control the alarm horn. We're going to have to go and put that in there as well. Oh man, I don't want to do it right now though, because I've already delayed so much. So I'll just remember and add that in later. How about that? I should have already reset this button back to false, but I didn't. But that's okay because it's on a one-shot, so it wasn't going to do anything anyway. And let's see, what is our warm-up oil temp? Our warm-up oil temp is 80, and our set point is 86. So, and our oil temp is 86, and basically the sim logic won't let the oil temp go below 86 because we're assuming it's 86 degrees outside. So not a big deal there. So we need our warm-up oil temp to be something above that. and we're going to go ahead and let's set that at something like 120. And then for a cool down oil temp, we'll leave that at 100. Okay, so for our stabilized kilowatts, I say we go ahead and put that up to something like maybe 300 kilowatts. And I don't remember what I had our overcurrent set at. I think I had our overcurrent set point set at like 550. Yeah, I do. Okay, so we're good on that. And let's see, we've got our stabilized. That's what our actual current set point is supposed to be. And okay, I think we should be about ready to do this thing. So let's push some values in and go ahead and turn that back off and see where we ended up. So we're still in idle mode. That's not a good thing. Why are we still in idle mode? Probably because our full auto bit is still false. So let's jump up to IO ladder and let's see. Actually, we probably don't have to. We've got our HOAs right here, and look at that. They're all set to 0. That's the problem. So we've got our baffle control we need to set to 2. We've got, not our control, sorry, our baffle HOA. And we want our oil pump VFD HOA. We want our brake HOA. We want our alarm horn HOA. We want our station interlock HOA, which has got to be around here somewhere. There we go. And I think that's all of our HOAs. So we want to write in 2 on all of those instead of using push buttons. It's just that much faster. And boom, we just slammed all of those into auto control mode. And when we did, look at that, we got our full auto bit. Okay, so full auto bit is there. Now let's try and put this thing in. And now we're in warm-up mode. Okay, that's a good sign. And we can see current starting to show up, but we're not real worried about that. Let's jump into our PID here, and let's just take a look and see what's going on. So I'm going to put this in to monitoring, and let's come down to our actual PID and see what we're sending in. We're sending in a set point of 0. That's a problem. We are not in manual mode. We have a manual value of 0, so we're not worried about that. Our input coming in is 64, but our BSP should be whatever our warm-up oil temp is. So let's come up here to our set point handling and see what's going on. We don't have a high oil flow alarm. That's our handling for that. Here we go. We've got our baffle PID set point and our VFD set point, and both of these are 0. So in warm-up mode, we should be setting something to these, and that's where we've got a lapse. So let's go into our modes ladder. Here we go, and oh, we're supposed to be bringing in a warm-up RPM, and we're not setting that. We haven't set that warm-up RPM. Okay, that's fine. So let's come down here and let's look for our warm-up RPM, which is 0. And let's go ahead and set that at something like 100. All right, so let's send that in. And let's go back to our PID screen. And let's see, now we're looking for a speed of 100. And we're actually getting 162, 163. Okay, so let's monitor this thing and let's see what's going on. So in the left here, let's come down. We're looking for our technology objects, and we're looking at our baffle PID, and let's go ahead and double click commissioning. and I'm going to go ahead and hit start on my sampling, and let's see what we're looking at here. We've got our set point, this black line up here that shows where the set point is. That's 100. And our green is showing our scaled input. And I see what the problem is here. We haven't actually set this PID up internally. So let's go ahead and stop it. Come down here, and I'm going to click on this little toolbox icon. And okay, when we activate, we're set to manual mode, and we want to go ahead and put this into automatic mode once it starts. And our inputs, we're not using the PERS, we're actually using the input and the output. And process value high limit is, I've got that set to 120, and I think that thing could go as high as about, I don't know, let's say 200, just hoping it doesn't get in our way. So let's close that and then download this in. I probably should have set up my second PID while I was at it, but didn't think about that. Coming back in here, we're still in warm-up mode. So it looks like our oil temp has come up to 89. And let's go back into our baffle PID commissioning. Get rid of these junk on the bottom, and let's hit start. So we're enabled, we're in manual mode, and tuning has not yet been started. So let's go ahead and hit start on pre-tuning. And now we wait, and let's see what this thing does. And okay, look at that. You see how the red just popped up, and it popped up to 100%. So this thing is now trying to control, and let's see if it's actually wired up right through SimLogic, because when that jumped, our green should have reacted, and it did not. So one thing is, I think this is not set up for inverse logic. So I'm going to go ahead and stop everything and abort this, because I think I still have a little bit more setup to do. Let's jump into the configuration for that PID. And yeah, I need to invert control logic. What that means is when the output of the PID increases, that should make the input signal decrease. So it's inverse control. And let's save that. So let's fire this PID up again now that we've got that inverse logic set right. And let's see if that gets us any closer. So double check here, my PID is on. I've got a set point of 100. I should be controlling my baffle percent. And let's go ahead and get that that commissioning going. So now that we've got the right control scheme, let's start monitoring. Let's start compact, and tuning hasn't started yet, so let's start pre-tuning, and let's see if we get any closer now. So our input is showing as 0, and that's a problem. Our input should not be 0. So let's go back and see what our input actually is. I'm going to go back to my PID screen. And okay, actually our baffle PID in is 105, 106. So if that's not showing, then there's definitely a problem. And yeah, something's not configured right with that. So let's come in here and go to PID parameters. And you know what? We've got one set of values in the processor, and we've got another set of values out here that we're looking at. So let's go ahead and set this stuff up in here just the same way that we set it. And our input output, that's good. And we said this could maybe go as high as like 200. So that's good. And let's close that down. Hey! Okay, now we're seeing some action on the screen. Let's try to start pre-tuning, and it doesn't want to pre-tune, and it says the process value is too close to the set point. Fine. Then let's go into fine-tuning and hit start. Fine-tuning is in process, and this will probably take a little bit of time, so don't be surprised if I skip ahead a little bit. This usually takes a few minutes. So let's just wait and see what happens when it's done. Well, coming back in here after a little bit, if you take a look at this, you see how our output is 100% and it looks like our scaled input is not even affected. That's a problem. So let's go ahead and stop all of this. And something that I am looking at and noticing is we're putting out an output here. You know what? Look at this. We're overwriting. Oh, why are we overwriting that? This is supposed to be looking to see if the baffle HOA equals 0, which means off, and not if it's not equal to 0. So it looks like we were overwriting. What did I just click on? I mean, come on, Control Z. That's not what I clicked. These shouldn't be not equals. These should be equals. So if these HOAs are equal to 0, then we should be writing out a 0. So let's go ahead and dump that in, and let's see how this thing looks now. So now it looks like our VFD HOA is equal to 0. That shouldn't be the case. Let's see, why is that? Let's come up here, and VFD HOA equals 0. Well, how is that possible if in our watch table we've got our full auto bit? Because we also have an oil pump VFD HOA. So somewhere along the lines, my dumbass created two different HOAs for that. So let's come into, actually we don't want IO, let's go into our HOA ladder. And let's see what we've got. We've got oil pump right here. We've got brake, alarm, station, and yeah, we don't have, I don't know why we have this at all, because we don't have the baffle in here, so why do we have this? I'm scared to look, but let's cross-reference, and sure enough, I'm using this in 100 different places, aren't I? Okay, so what are we doing down here? In IOSTL, in IOSCL, IO ladder, IO function block, HOA STL, HOA SCL. Okay, so really, this won't be that hard to fix after all. Here's what we need to do. We need to take this network 1 and just delete it out of HOA. Let's come into our HOA function blocks, and we've got this set up on network 1. Let's just delete it. HOA SCL. There it is. And let's just delete it. HOA STL. And let's see, set oil pump VFD HOA. So everything up there is just for evaluating that oil pump VFD HOA. Let's just delete it all. That's always scary. And coming in next, we need to work on our IOs. So here we're controlling that oil pump VFD energize out. And here we need to leave this, but we need to look at VFD HOA. So let's copy that, paste it there, and are we still using the same control bit, or do we have a different control bit? I think that control bit is still good, so Control Z, and let's leave that alone. And yeah, I think we're done with that. Let's come down to the I/O ladder and replace that VFD HOA. I think we're good there. Come into I/O SCL and oil pump VFD HOA. We're replacing that with VFD HOA. And I think that looks good. Coming into our STL. Let's see. Reset oil pump VFD. There we're looking at the HOA as well as there and there. And is that it? I think so. Alright, so let's see how that works. That's kind of scary because I just made some really gross changes to my program. That's just about terrifying, but we've done it. So let's come into our PID now, and actually we'll go into our commissioning screen. So let's come down here and open that up. And before we do that, I think we need to go to our watch screen, and let's see, where are we at process wise? Full auto, yes, and warm up mode we're in. We've got current, we've got an oil temp. Okay, so everything looks about right. Let's go back to our PID screen, get rid of this info down here, and let's go into monitoring. And it's still saying VFD HOA is equal to 0, but that's because we haven't pushed our VFD push button up here. So we've got our VFD auto push button, which we can just modify to 1 and then modify back to 0. And now that's in 2. But for our full auto bit, we also need to be looking at the right thing. So let's go back into all of our I/O, and yeah, let's make sure we're looking at VFD HOA there. Oh wait, I think we had a set and a reset, didn't we? Yeah, so right up here also, VFD HOA. I/O function block all the way down at the bottom. We're looking for VFD HOA, and up here also VFD HOA. In our SCL down at the bottom, VFD HOA, and in our STL down at the bottom, and where is it here? VFD HOA. Good. And just so that we don't have to go through this anymore, I'm going to just delete that out of the tag table. So let's go into default tag table, and I'm going to look for that oil pump VFD HOA, and I'm going to delete it. So where is it? Oil pump VFD HOA right there. So let's delete it. And once that's gone, if that's still being referenced anywhere in the program, this thing won't compile. And it did compile, so that tells me we got it. Okay, it's gone. Let's go back to our PID screen and go back into monitoring. We're not overwriting anything. We've got the PID, looks like it's where it needs to be. Okay, let's go into our commissioning screen one more time. Yeah, jump around on me. That's what I want you to do. Okay, I finally got it to click on what I wanted. Thanks, TIA Portal. Okay, now we've got our green up there. We've got our red down there. Everything's fine. Let's start the PID. Okay, as soon as we do, that value jumped up. And, oh, look at that. We got a reaction. So, nice. Let's try to start pre-tuning. It says it doesn't want to pre-tune, so let's try to start fine-tuning. And actually, I'm just going to sit here and watch it for a little bit. I want to see if it just is able to control, because it's definitely actively trying to find its way. But I also see that it's not in very good shape. So yeah, let's tune this thing. And let's acknowledge the error. It says fine-tuning in process. Because obviously what it's doing now is, I mean, it's trying to control, but it's not doing a super hot job of it. And without knowing how long this will take, I'll say I'll just skip ahead when necessary. So let's just sit here and wait. Okay, we are back, and check it out. After it did a lot of jumping up and down for its tuning process, now we've got a set point of 100 still. Our input is 96, 97, still kind of trying to stabilize a little bit. And our output is updating regularly, and we have got PID controlled. So this is not the most precisely tuned loop in the world, but for this application, would that be good enough? Probably.